Hello and welcome to Moneycontrol Innovation Next, presented by Google Cloud. I'm your host Gautam Srinivasan, and our conversation for today will be around navigating transformation in digital media. Well, let me set the context for our discussion. India's media and entertainment industry is projected to grow by 17% this year and finally covering the deficit left in the wake of the pandemic. That's not all. The sector is estimated to add $5 billion worth of growth, nearly touching the $31 billion mark by 2024, with digital media firmly establishing itself as the second largest segment within this industry. But as technology democratizes the media and entertainment space, the question now is, how can the industry modernize its content production and distribution operations while transforming audience experiences from a regional, national, and international standpoint? To understand the fine print around how players in this sector are producing great content efficiently using smart workflows, improving audience engagement via data and AI, and building the right kind of technology infrastructure to streamline distribution of content across geographies, I'm joined by a panel of some of the finest minds in this sector. Our speaker lineup includes Aditi Srivastav, co-founder of Pocket Aces, which ranks among India's leading digital media entertainment companies. Divya Dikshit, SVP Revenue and Marketing at Alt Balaji, one of India's most popular subscription-based video-on-demand service across devices that's marrying state-of-the-art technology with gripping storytelling. Also joining us is Noor Basha, Head of Department for Research at ETV, which is a powerhouse regional media and entertainment network. Sri Vidya Srinivasan, co-founder and Chief Customer Success Officer at Amagi Media Labs, a leading provider of cloud-based SaaS solutions for broadcast and OTT platforms, and Chirag Sanghani, Head of the Media and Entertainment Business at Google Cloud. Thank you everyone for joining us on this talk. Looking at the intersection of tech and content, let's do that first. How does Google Cloud and its solution help media companies wherever they are on the maturity curve, whether say as adopters building services using static hardware, as outsourcers using turnkey solutions, or say managed services on the cloud, or integrators who take cloud native approach to integrating first and third party systems to orchestrate smooth workflows? And how do you help them develop the right kind of, say, tech stack, train in-house talent, and shift towards a highly mature consumer engagement culture? The broad strokes from you first.
Thank you, Gautam. Thank you so much. It is my privilege and honor to be part of this esteemed panel. As we all know, media and entertainment industry is undergoing a massive transformation to digital consumption. And this has significantly accelerated in the last 2 years, obviously with pandemic, right? As of last year, there were 1 billion digital subscriptions globally, and it's estimated to be double by 2025. Closer to home in India, we have 350 million digital media consumers now, and it's expected to grow to 500 million plus in the coming years. While this rapid growth is good to have, it also brings in new and evolving customer expectation that the industry is striving to meet. For example, newer mediums of engagement, newer attitude towards content and monetization, and newer revenue streams too. Me and my team at Google are working very closely with M&E industry in the region to jointly figure out on how we tackle challenges and opportunities that we face today. Now, our mission at Google Cloud is to empower media organizations to transform audience experiences through innovation in content production, distribution, customer engagement, and even monetization. We've built our offerings with years of experience in building and running largest media application across the globe. Our aim is to meet the customers where they are today and help them on their journey of transformation, from digital opportunistic companies to truly data-driven media enterprises. Now, in that spectrum, at the very base, there are media companies that are heavily reliant on a large number of ecosystem partners, industry ISVs. These ISVs provide key specialized capabilities that enable important media workflows with thousands of dedicated engineers and that have specialized over decades. So we have enabled these large number of ISVs on our platform for frictionless adoption. Now, moving on from these base set of companies, for companies that are slightly mature in their transformation journey, we have our differentiated offerings in terms of building blocks and APIs for individual media workflows, right? Be it transcoding, packaging, ad stitching, personalizations, metadata enrichment, distribution, analytics, and even AI based audience experiences, and so forth. And then finally, for the most advanced, we have democratized our own native technologies such as Kubernetes, Spanner, global private fiber network for low latency delivery, enabling them to build planet scale media applications. We have made it incredibly easy for media companies at all maturity or growth stages to be able to select the right tools, partner solutions, and platform for their workloads and achieve faster time to market for their products. I
All right.
hope
So
I'm
from an enabler's perspective, that option is there, but it's still a tightrope walk for a lot of media organizations. Since while digital native players might sort of have a leg up, but for a lot of the large players who still have a lot of legacy, that content supply chain and harmonizing everything from a technology perspective could still be an issue. Let me bring in Srividya to see how that issue can be resolved. Srividya, how does the cloud enable a holistic and unified view of the content supply chain across, say, all parts of the media business? Because these days it's not just a single media business, it's a sort of an empire. So although many media companies have already moved their OTT content delivery systems to the cloud, say along with related critical processes like media asset management or post production and other supply chain activities, they are still on premise. So this leaves the content supply chain highly susceptible to disruptions, and with a legacy technical debt, that burden that grows every day. So your thoughts on how this tightrope walk can be achieved by especially the large players who have a legacy issue?
Yeah. Gautam, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about this. And I'm happy to be part of this panel. Exactly the problem that you mentioned is what we are solving today. There are a lot of legacy broadcast networks who want to become fully cloud aware and fully unified on the cloud, precisely for the reason that you're mentioning. Now, think about it. Like today, let's say you get a certain number of audience through your normal broadcast network. You want to augment it with the customers from the OTT. Soon the shift will change. Soon there will be a big shift wherein people who are, you will have majority of the audience in the OTT platform and some of the audience coming from the broadcast. So it is extremely important to have this unified platform. So what we do at Amagi is actually, Amagi bridges this exact gap. Amagi is a SaaS-based cloud-based media technology platform, which enables broadcasters to come to the cloud. So we provide solutions by which they can take the content to the cloud. They can actually do a live linear, build a live linear channel if they want. They can monetize it. They can see the analytics. They can actually fine tune the analytics and still use our platform to deliver the content either to an OTT platform or to a traditional platform like a DTH or cable. All of that are possible through the same system. We have enabled it. So right now, if you can see, most of the customers who are in our platform have moved their content from the traditional storage, what they have, to the cloud. As a part of that, they've also adopted newer technologies in content production by using technology on the cloud. And this pandemic has actually increased the space. So we are seeing a tremendous growth and realization from the broadcast networks to move to the cloud. And in the long run, it definitely have a greater ROI, right? And the operational expenses will actually come down.
All right, we'll expand on the talking point of ROI. You've heard the enablers perspective. Let's see what the screen merchants have to say about the trends that are shaping up. Aditi, let me bring you in as a new age digital entertainment company making highly engaging content for the millennial audience. How would you define the consumer of content today? And what have been some interesting insights that, say, data has unearthed, which has helped Pocket Aces understand its audience in a better way and enable the company to grow its revenue by, I believe, 7 times in the past 3 to 4 years?
Thank you, Gautam. Really excited to be here. So, I mean, I think it's the most exciting consumer base that we've ever had as a country in media today, right? Extremely active customers, extremely engaged. They want to interact with the audience, with the content. They want to interact with each other as audiences. They want to interact with the creators. They're very tech savvy. They can pay. They're happy to pay. They're very, very smart, and they don't feel that there is much of a gap between them and creators, right? I mean, with UGC content kicking in, they also feel that they can become creators at scale. So I think we're in the most exciting phase of the media ecosystem, in our country. And because of this major two-way interaction that happens, millions of audiences are showing us what they want to watch, um, what they like about what they're watching. So they're commenting on the content, they're tagging their friends. Of course, watch time, retention curves, all of that stuff is there. So the insights that we are getting are, threefold. Number one, what are the things people want to see in the future? So they're actually, we have proprietary tools in house to mine all of this qualitative data that we get from our audiences, right? Thousands of comments that are coming on each video that we are publishing. And they're telling us what themes and concepts they want us to cover in the future. They're telling us which talent they really like that they want to see more of. And they're also telling us where else they're watching content. So as a company, when we have to decide that, okay, we're huge on XYZ platforms, like for example, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and tomorrow we want to evaluate which other short video platform we want to go on. We actually are using consumer insights even for that kind of decision making, right? So there is a insights are being used for content, for growth, for signing up which talent we want to manage as talent managers, etc. So there is a bunch of qualitative and quantitative insights, and it's up to you as a media company how to use that data along with creativity to basically create a very intelligent flywheel that maximizes the success rate of future content that you put out. So that's how we are using it. In terms of revenue growth, as you asked, that yeah, even in the pandemic, we actually grew in terms of both user base and revenue. We have about 50 million people we are reaching weekly, and even the new revenue streams we've opened up and business lines we've set up have come from what the consumers want to watch, what they want to interact with, and like trends from developed markets as well. So what's happening in the US? So for example, the creator economy is a big thing right now. So what are we doing as an influencer, kind of platform in India? In the digital space, we're one of the largest in India today, right? And how we are going to launch D2C products with the creators. We're launching content NFTs, we're launching merchandise. So all of this stuff has resulted in basically our growth over the last few years, and will continue to kind of give us growth levers in the future. And everything is tried and tested with audience insights. So you're not going with a 50% chance of success, but you're going with a much more 80 to 90% chance of success for any new initiative you're taking up.
All right, that's a great example of a sort of a data-driven approach. Aditi, do you feel somewhere it has helped you kind of build muscle, especially from a D2C perspective, because that's B2C perspective, because that's going to be more challenging, right, for any content provider?
Yeah, 100%. See, even from a B2B perspective, right? Because a lot of our business revenue comes from advertisers, streaming platforms, etc. When we go to advertisers or a platform also and say, hey, you should fund this content because look, we ran all of these experiments with our audiences, and we ran these polls and we ran these surveys, and look, here are the results of that, and that's why this content is going to really work. That really helps you making a sale, and it helps the opposite party feel extremely confident about the fact that their investment is going to deliver the ROI that they are looking for, whether it's in terms of views or adding more subscribers to their platform, or conversion to whatever product they have as an advertiser, right? So it also helps in B2B. In B2C, for sure. So for example, when we are launching merch of a given IP, right? Like we did Little Things on Netflix and we've launched merch of Little Things. We actually did surveys as to which products do audience want, right? So one is you can go with the usual stuff like t-shirt and tote bags, but actually audiences want something special. So we've launched those special products for Little Things or for our show What the Folks after doing the surveys with the audiences. Right? And these are simple things that you can do. So while the creativity is ours because our design team is designing these products, but at the same time, you're sussing out the demand from before, right? So it's just it really helps you ensure that you sell out on all of the products that you're launching, whether it is a direct product that a consumer is paying for or a product that a brand or an OTT platform is paying for, but the consumer is finally watching and everybody wants to reach that consumer.
All right, a value driver using the insights that you get from data. Great example there. Let's also explore the regionalization of content and its various opportunities that are presented. Noor, let me bring you in. How do you see regionalization of content impacting content consumption patterns and medium as we see more tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 viewers joining that digital viewing revolution, especially as say 5G comes on stream?
Yeah, thanks, Gautam. Um, Actually, we see the content consumption patterns are changing rapidly in India, especially in OTT space. After pandemic, audience are exposed to content across globe. So, which is actually helping. I mean, not only helping platforms to understand what exactly audience are expecting, but at the same time, it is a challenge for them to meet to the global standards, especially when we talk about the regionalization. But regionalization is not a new concept for India. It is an old concept due to diversity in tradition and languages spoken. Even we have experienced the same in broadcasting industry. Now we are experiencing the getting OTT space. Apart from the Tier 1 markets, which are actually slowly reaching saturation point, Tier 2, 3, 4, and the towns which actually have to be focused and where this growth is expected from in the next decade, especially because of the growing digital revolution and also the which is actually helping the platforms and any other digital production which is happening. Unless and until this availability is there, digital consumption availability is there, we cannot do it, but these are really happening in a better way, so which is helping these coming upcoming OTT platforms. Apart from these Netflix kind of Amazon players, we can see many regional OTT platforms coming up. In Telugu, AHA is leading definitely, and ETV is coming up with their own platform. Like in Tamil, there are Tamil AHA recently launched, and they have their own platforms. Keeping this in mind, these major players like Woot, Disney, and Sony Live have also started producing original content in the regional languages. And these internationally reputed platforms like Amazon and Netflix, they also have started providing the content which is successful in other languages in regional languages. This is indicating the growth of regionalization, and importance of regionalization is indicated here. Especially this is again coming from Tier 2, 3, and 4 towns. Unless because in metros they are already used to Hindi, English languages where the content is already available. But for them to increase the number of subscriptions, they have to go to Tier 2, 3, 4 towns. For that, they have to understand the language what is really spoken. So the dubbing has become important. Apart from the dubbing, the regional original content is also important to get more subscribers.
Okay, Aditi, your thoughts on this regional content aspect, because the way things work could be different, but as Noor has mentioned, a lot of the big players, they also want to enter into the regional space. They see that as a growth driver. So how are the dynamics panning out there?
Yeah, I completely agree with Noor here. And, after many years of thinking about it, we also finally pulled the plug. And, as Pocket Aces, we've primarily been Hindi, and English kind of focused. But we just launched our first Telugu series this past year. and we're working on 2 more Telugu series and 1 Tamil series also. So I think the key is to actually join hands with local producers, and work. That's how we've gone about it, and we've had a great experience with somebody like, for example, like a Tamada, in the Telugu space, and their expertise and their ability to get things done within lower cost models is actually something that all of us can learn from, kind of in the Hindi industry as well. And of course, the gap is huge, like Noor said, in terms of the content available to those audiences. One of the approaches we have also taken is actually building franchisees out of our popular properties, right? So actually remaking and adapting, not dubbing, like complete remakes of our successful series, like What the Folks and an Adulting in Telugu and Tamil. That has actually seen amazing appreciation. The What the Folks went out on AHA, which is a Telugu focus platform, and saw, very, very good performance. So I think there's multiple ways to go about it, but tying with regional producers has been like, I think one of the easiest ways to get in, and also obviously is extremely collaborative in nature as well.
All right, we'll explore how that exponential boost is in content demand is also shaping up the production ecosystem. I'll come to you for that later, Aditi. But Divya, tell us about how Alt Balaji has established its positioning as a OTT of the masses. How do you get around the issue of off-platform content discovery to attract first-time users to your platform, especially in tier 2, tier 3 cities, where around 65% of your consumers come from? I want to know, how do you successfully build on that journey to convert viewers to subscribers?
Thank you, Moneycontrol and Gautam, for having me here. And thank you so much for asking me how Alt has started as OTT of the masses, right? So we always know that Alt has stupendously held on to the category, giving narratives months after months of stories that appeal to the masses. How we work in terms of off-platform content discovery is very simple. It is dependent on the product, right? So, for example, if it is a product which is going to appeal to, let's say, middle age, mid-tier, tier 2, tier 3 women audience, then we would go around working with the various kind of destination points where these women would be present. So, bazaars, malls, grocery chains, parlors, beauty parlors, self-help places, which is where, hobby classes, which is where these women would go spend their time, and we would like to be present over there. We do lots of brand partnerships, tie-ups over there for specific product, for the content discovery of that specific product by the requisite TG. In case of males, we'll probably end up going more towards pubs. We would go more towards office complexes, though not to say that for women we would not go for office complexes, but male audience would also probably, we will go into the places like gaming. Of course, needless to say that there are certain products which are family products, in which we end up targeting places like multiplexes, cinema halls, shopping malls, etc., where every kind of family audience is present. So depending on the product, we go into various targeting of the masses. To talk about the fact that 65% of my consumers come over there is not only about content discovery, but about the fact that Alt Balaji tells these unique massy content narratives, right, which appeal to the larger middle class segment of the society, which is the most powerful segment in this country, right? So we work with them successfully and we attract them through our unique, powerful narratives, and content discovery adds a layer on the top of it. To successfully convert viewers to subscribers, we use various techniques. So we work with first episode free on our platform. We work with various affiliate partners that do marketing basis the number of subscriptions they pull in. We work with our various Google FB partners who work with us in spreading the digital campaigns, YouTube search ads, search engine optimization, search engine management, which you guys popularly known as buying ads. We also work with multiple influencer networks, right? So right from popular influencers to macro to micro influencers who also influence our viewers into signing up for the subscriptions and watching a particular show. A huge amount of partnerships with Moj, Firework, ShareChat, with Triller. These are the kind of platforms that we work with extensively and draw a huge amount of UGC content. And then the audience engagement and then the subscription points out of there. So this is what we do largely to convert journey of viewers to subscribers. Nevertheless, there are multiple how do I say, layering of campaigns which is done to make it happen. And it's not one such thing which I can sort of pinpoint. But of course, also the fact once the user lands on the app, what is the experience he's getting? If the app is buffering, if the website is buffering, if the subscription cycle is not easy, the process is not easy, then the user might drop out at the last mile also. So we also work constantly with the tech team to innovate and create that as a better journey.
Chirag, let's explore this aspect in detail, especially as it's a very hyper competitive space. I think there are at last count 40 OTT players and a whole amount of regional players also cropping up. So cost efficiency, content delivery, they all come into focus because everyone wants to be competitive. So let's explore the power of the cloud. When media companies move to the cloud, the first question, say, might be which workflows do I target and when? So what would be your strategic advice in terms of, say, right sizing their cloud strategy for specific media workflows to achieve objectives around, say, cost, speed, and delivery, and extend that to the next level in terms of mining IP, predicting customer journeys, or maximizing distribution revenue with analytics?
Yeah, no, thanks again, Gautam. I totally agree with what has been said from a regionalization perspective as well. Look, from a starting the journey, I think most of the media houses have already embarked on the journey of digitization and the direct to consumer models, and hence in some shape or form they have adopted cloud technologies. Nevertheless, if you really see, media companies are having to contend with the fact that the consumers have all the power, right? They have a choice of content, platform, consumption pattern, business models that they choose, and many other forms of entertainment service. What that means, right? This means that media companies must rethink their product and strategies, or retool their operations and capabilities and even workforce, considering the ever-changing demand of the consumers. Now, they will really have to work backwards, starting from the consumer in mind, and start their cloud journey, if at all they are just starting. And specifically identify workloads that deliver maximum value to the end consumer at the fastest turnaround time, and at the same time driving either growth in revenue or delivering cost efficiency. Now, this will all depend on a lot of factors, including the cloud maturity of the organization. However, an example could be to start with the lowest hanging fruit of adopting better technologies in like, say, low latency content delivery to the last mile, right? As you rightly said, regionalization, even tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities in the country. A lot of our customers have started their journey by leveraging our experience of low latency delivery of content, YouTube content, even to the remotest place. The same infrastructure that Google has built over the last decade to serve YouTube content to over 2 billion users globally is now being made available to deliver media at scale. The next probably in journey could be to build a 360-degree customer data platform, as Aditi rightly said, deriving insights from consumer watch patterns or consumption patterns. So creating this 360-degree customer data platform, which either does not exist with players or needs breaking down a lot of different data silos, thereby enabling a lot of data and AI-enabled use cases and experiences, including better personalization, recommendations, engagement, retention, and even monetization. Now, from there on, one can move on newer and innovative experiences. So you get the gist, right, of moving backwards from customer value generating workloads with speed and deriving cost efficiencies altogether.
All right. Keeping focus on the production side challenges, Aditi, content consumption in India has raced ahead of content production, according to some commentators, during especially this pandemic period. So, how is this exponential boost in content demand shaping the content production ecosystem here in India? You mentioned about your experience with a lot of the regional players, but broadly considering there is this insatiable need for content, especially as the number of users who are viewing this content grows. What's your view on how the production ecosystem is geared up to serve content to these folks?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, of course, all of us faced an even more challenging time during COVID, right? Than kind of any other sector related to, media, whether it's media planning or something. Content production is one of the major things that got stalled. See, what I would like to say is that as a company, again going after consumer behavior, right? If you map how consumers are actually consuming content throughout the day, they are consuming short form as well as long form, right away when they get up, they're scrolling through Instagram or through another short video app. They are watching some short videos on their commute to office or school or college, and then at late at night they're consuming long form content. So as a media company, the way we think about it is that we have to cater to all of these content formats, and all of these consumption patterns, which is something that helps us scale content volume, and helped us stay afloat during COVID as well. Because short form content can be shot indoors, can be shot inside the house, can be shot in the office, can be shot just with one actor. It can be shot on the phone, so you don't need lights and equipment and spot boys and DOPs, etc., etc. So I think one of the biggest trends that is already happened in the production side is lean and mean production, which works great for short form content as well as like some like medium length content. For long form content, and when you're making like high production, high concept properties, of course you need to go on sets. There also, we reduced our sets from say 100 or 150 people down to about 60 people during the pandemic, and we've maintained that because it has immense cost advantages as well. During the pandemic, we developed strict like gold standards SOPs about safety on set, etc. It increased the cost by about 25%, but touch wood, we never had a single COVID case on any of our sets. And I think we've shot 11 long form series since the first lockdown opened up. And that in the long run saved us a lot of money and heartache, right? So I think developing those kind of SOPs is really important. And we've continued those lean and mean sets even till today, right? Then the third thing I would like to say is that people are exploring tools like the Unreal Engine, right? And in the West, large scale projects are being shot on that kind of stuff. I really want to see what we do with that stuff in India. I want to see what we do with digital avatars. I want to see what we do with, the crazy VFX technology, which we cater to for projects in Hollywood, but we ourselves don't use it for our own projects, So I think there has to be innovation that comes and makes this production ecosystem less physical. Of course, this ecosystem employs so many, day wage workers, and you have to find a way to make sure that their livelihood is also conserved with this innovation. But yeah, that's how we've been thinking about it, and we would love to see if anyone else here is pushing the boundaries and how we can learn from them.
Absolutely. And when it comes to pushing the boundaries, I've seen some of the videos generated out of the engine, and it's amazing. It's indistinguishable almost from real life, whether it's a trailer of the Matrix or it's the preview of the next generation of video games. These engines are driving things forward, especially in terms of maybe cost savings, right? Because you don't need a large set. You can just use the engine and render a world unimaginable. Chirag, let me bring you in. All these possibilities coming about. Your thoughts?
No, totally agree. And, I just wanted to add what to Aditi and you said, Gautam. Technology is now playing a key role in content production as well. Like while Aditi touched upon the advanced use cases being explored, right, using Unreal Engine or LED screens or, green rooms, etc. but there's the basics things like reusing certain shots, having a right content management system which enables, like for example, you need a New York skyline. Once it's shot, it's available in your archive. Can it be reused, right? And how your content can be surfaced to your producers, to your directors, so that that can be reused and bring down the cost of production. And while doing that, also working on advanced use cases like photogrammetry collection, 3D avatars, capturing the entire sets, for then not only using for content production, but also creating new streams of revenue in terms of gamification, etc., is what we are seeing as trends, and supporting our customers in developing those for content creation.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. Unlocking the value of your IP, a day where you could create sets and use that for your projects, and then keep it in archives and use it when required, or maybe you could sell it off to someone who wants to use that set on a subscription basis. So a new monetization opportunity is also opening up. And speaking of monetization, the big question is always, how do you make money on content? Noor, let me bring you in. It's a very interesting question, and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this. Considering video streaming services, they're expected to spend around, I think, close to 2,000 crores to create original content for India, and that's in 2021, which in itself was a 17% rise over 1,400 crore rupees spent in 2019. That's according to a FICCI EY report. So, but a report by media consulting firm Ormax that states that out of India's, say, I think 353 million OTT audience, only around 40 million are actually paying subscribers. So the biggest question to you, how does one make money on content in India? Your thoughts?
Definitely, depending only on the subscription driven revenue model is not going to work in India, because basically because of the piracy. The first challenge what we are facing today is the piracy. Any content which is released on any OTT platform, within 24 hours it is available free of cost in pirated sites. Now that is a major challenge. So depending only on that, and raising production costs to meet the expectations of the audience, because the audience are exposed to multiple language, international content today. So for regional players, or even the Indian players, people who are playing at an Indian level, like Woot, Disney, or Z5, for them also meeting up to the standards which are at an international level will be difficult unless and until they increase the production standards. So this is definitely going to increase the cost. So depending only on the subscription model is not going to work out. Slowly it will, and we have also seen they start, like Z5 and Netflix are planning to open up ad-based revenue model. Apart from that, there are other models which are available, and YouTube is going to be one of the key player here. But for original content, we cannot directly release it on YouTube, and we having our own platforms, any other platform also. So looking for more revenue models is really important for, and branding is one thing which actually plays a key role here, because exclusive viewers, we have exclusive viewers for whom this content is available. So branding is one area where platforms and the content producers can look into, to making it as one of the revenue model.
All right, Aditi, your response. There's perpetual battle between A ward and S ward. And we are seeing even the big players who earlier used to avoid advertising now, giving up and saying, you know what, I think we will have to do advertising. In terms of, say, these revenue models coming about, or where do you see the light at the end of the tunnel? Is branded content going to be bigger? That's a route some platforms might take to monetize, or is AWOD here to stay?
Gautam, I've always like enjoyed this debate, because obviously we started on YouTube, right? So we started with AWOD being our bread and butter, and it still remains a big part of our bread and butter till date. I think everybody will and should do both, AWOD as well as SWOD. I mean, you cannot deny that there are huge numbers. I mean, YouTube is still by far the largest platform, right? But not just YouTube. Even if you look at like a Z5 or a Hotstar or a Voot or any of these guys, it's always a combination, right? And they are looking at it as a funnel. So AWOD is, where they have the huge audiences, and a few of them are converting into SWOD, or they're getting new subscribers for SWOD. I mean, even my mom today is watching like her soaps on the platform versus on cable television, right? So I think that both are here to stay. There is huge revenue opportunity for the platforms as well as for creators in AWOD and SWOD. See, AWOD constraint is that obviously, there is a limitation to how much any advertiser would like to spend. So you have to do a good balance between your content and the ads in that content, right? So because we have the in-film branding model, for us, it's a little less intrusive for an audience experience. But yes, if you put like an ad break or a mid-roll ad, every 2 minutes, then obviously it's a very intrusive experience. Also, AWOD doesn't allow for certain type of storytelling, like where there's a very negative protagonist, or say it's a historical like biopic or something of that nature, period drama. Those things are not interesting for advertisers to fund, right? So for that, SWOD is very required. For very large scale projects, SWOD is required. But this perception that AWOD chota hai, SWOD bada hai, AWOD is less important, SWOD is... I really don't subscribe to any of this stuff. And I think every platform is going to see the value of both. If you look at Netflix, look at the presence Netflix India is building on YouTube. It just goes as an example to tell you that audiences that are on that AWOD platform are also important to Netflix. At the end of the day, everybody wants to reach a wide set. So that's my take on it. We will continue to do both.
Chirag, looks like everyone needs YouTube, even Netflix. Coming to you, Divya, you've earlier said that over the years, Alt Balaji has sort of mastered the art of making content at 1/3 of the price that your peers are spending. So how have your innovations in content, technology, and marketing translated to Alt Balaji staying ahead of its competitors and keeping costs in check?
See, of course, I've been saying for the longest time period that alt has always stayed ahead of the curve, right? How do we stay ahead of the curve? We stay ahead of the curve by doing innovations across content, across marketing, across tech, across even our revenue partnerships. So if you remember when Alt started its journey and we were very small and we had literally launched with just 6 shows, right? Marketing dollars weren't very high and we actually ended up tying with Airtel and Vodafone because we wanted the reach. We wanted to reach out to the maximum number of viewers and we wanted our shows to be popularized. Once we were sure and we had a certain amount of library and momentum, and by the time the rest of the people were catching up on the telecom era, we had moved out and we had moved into the co-production deal with Z. And currently also we are into co-production deals with MX, and we've done a couple of shows with Z also this year. And we are talking to various other partners. So co-production is one area that we have innovated. Telecom tie-up is something that we innovated with, and then the rest of the people followed. If you look at the fact, we have also been working closely now with multiple ISP partner platforms and relationships. Now, that's something also we are completely doing as an added layer to the direct subscription revenue that we are working with. So these are the kind of innovations that we work on a business model point of view. In terms of marketing, I think we are very innovative because we are very sharp on resources. When you're very sharp on resources, when you're lean on resources, necessity becomes mother of innovation and invention. So the team is forced to think at every point of time that whatever money that I'm spending, what is my ROI coming on it, rather than just putting together a budget of launching the show and saying, okay, I've got X views and I've done my job. It's not just X views and doing your job. It's about X views, doing your job, and ensuring the ROI on the spend and the views. So obviously you're doing a lot of tie-ups to offset the launch cost. You're doing a lot of gratifications for the consumers to engage more and more consumers to get them to sign up. You're working with a lot of influencers on tie-ups and barters rather than just outright payment. So life is very easy when there's money to float, and then life becomes innovative when you know that your kitty is only this much, but that's the milestone you need to achieve. And those are the kind of innovations we constantly work with. Engagements, gratifications, barters. These are the kind of innovations the marketing team is constantly working on. Of course, I have also earlier spoken about the fact that how our marketing innovations are also dependent on which genre it is, what is the audience that we are targeting. If it is elderly women or if it's middle-aged women, then we will go to their points of destination. If it is men, then their points of destination. And if it's youth, then completely digital. In terms of content, if you look at it today, I've already spoken about the co-production deals that we do, right? So you're amortizing a certain amount of content cost and you're moving ahead. I mean, nobody else in the industry actually has done it. What we have done is basically taken a call to co-produce shows, right? Everybody is very particular about it. Whereas we said now in an era of 40 plus OTT platforms, how are you doing a sustainable business model? To create a sustainable business model, your costs have to be kept in check. To keep your costs in check, you have to constantly work with various content partners who are equally open-minded to be able to work with them. I've already named a few. In terms of tech, if you look at it, we are constantly working with creating simple experience for the customer. So while I absolutely agree and understand that there are going to be, multiple platforms with great technology, but is it simple enough for an average Indian consumer to be able to navigate? So we work with search, voice search, because that's where the hinterlands of this country are, and that's what they find very easy. We're working on vertical videos constantly, whether in social media or in the app, to make it easy for people to swipe. We're constantly working with a simple, like I said, a simple UI, UX, and now we are trying to upgrade our subscription to at least maximum 2-step. Also, we're currently innovating with the advent of connected devices sales going up. We're working with multiple connected devices partner to ensure that our app is present over there. So these are the kind of innovations we're constantly working in to stay ahead of the competition.
Well, let's look at how these monetization models can be harmonized, because a lot of the times media companies are not the singular. They don't operate in just one space. They have their hands in a variety of things, and they have different monetization models. It can be ad funded, subscriber driven, premium driven. So let's see how that can be harmonized from an enabler's perspective. Srividya, your thoughts, how a large media network with, say, a variety of video, music, and other content services, how can they use the power of the cloud to harmonize subscription models across ad funded, subscription based, and premium user models across platforms and products?
Yeah, we are seeing this revolution happening today. Large platforms, large broadcast networks are actually using the cloud and harmonizing the revenue models through all these platforms. So let me give you an example, right? A large network might be reaching a section of audience through their normal traditional broadcast. So that would give them certain amount of viewership and certain amount of revenue. It can be augmented. For, let's say, an advertiser comes and says that I need so much of viewership, and I need so much of reach and frequency. Then that can be augmented with the OTT part of it. The first show could be live and the second show could be a replay, and both can be on OTT as well as on the traditional broadcast, and we can and they can actually augment it with OTT. And in addition to that, like what Aditi was explaining, having meaningful mid-roll ads, not having ads every 2 minutes, but having ads at relatively nicer locations, and having meaningful mid-roll ads which are addressable per user will definitely have the best results for the content provider as well as for the advertiser. That's what we are seeing. We are seeing that people augment from OTT platform to the traditional as well as the reverse. And now there are newer forms like digital brand insertion. Like, let's say there is a scene in which, where there's a dining table and somebody is having food. Maybe the cornflakes which they serve could be branded. So, and it could be addressably branded. And today our customers are doing it in the international markets. And soon all of these are going to be available in Indian markets as well. And we are seeing tremendous growth in a phase like this, wherein there is all three models exist. There is AVOD, there is SVOD, and there is broadcast. All three monetizations happen at the same time for our customers.
And e-commerce is also being added to that, right, Srividya? Yes, because exactly. It's the same scene, as you mentioned, somebody's sitting and the scene is somebody sitting at a table eating cornflakes. The viewer likes the dress that person's wearing and takes a photo and bam, there you have it. You can purchase that same dress for so and so. So that e-com aspect is also added to this.
Yeah, so many of our CTV platforms and many of the OTT platforms are actually are trying to add a button by which if you press the button, then you can as well purchase the things while you're watching the ad. So that's what we are doing, and that we are seeing a tremendous explosion of growth in that market.
All right, as Aditi has said, content builds communities, which drives commerce. Anything to add to that, Aditi, before I go to Chirag for his final thoughts?
No, I think you read that out. So that's good. Thank you.
All right. Well, Chirag, let me come to you for the final question. What do large media companies need to do to keep up with the competition on the production side, or the content, say, discovery or distribution side, or the content monetization side? We're seeing hyper local media companies, especially in the new business, using data analytics and automation, using the power of the cloud to regionalize content on the fly without the need for, say, a large headcount. So is that going to be the norm in terms of maximizing cost and efficiency?
Sure, Gautam. There's too much of I think too much of information that you are asking out of me. But let me address this in three distinct points. Right? You talked about data analytics, you talked about automation, and then you talked about how to keep up with the competition or keep ahead of the competition. Now let me address data. Right? In the media industry, and the esteemed colleagues know this, there is an age-old phrase. Right? Content is the king and distribution is the queen. Right? While content still remains the king, as more and more media companies shift to digital and direct-to-consumer models, technology has taken the role of distribution, right? So content is the king, technology that powers the distribution is the queen, and I would say that data is God, right? So it's highly imperative for media companies to become data-driven for the smallest of business decisions. Data is and will continue to fuel the decisions of content production, maybe audience acquisition, engagement, retention, and even monetization. Now, as you know, Google is the largest data processor in the world. And at Google Cloud, we provide the same capabilities to our customers and partners to transform into a data-driven business. Coming to automation of media workflows through cloud, right? Now, in order to meet this evolving consumer expectation, and more so with these fragmented digital audiences, media companies are required to continuously create quality content. And that creation is very costly. And hence, automating media workflows is definitely going to become mainstream to drive cost efficiencies. Now, we are already seeing, at Google Cloud that large and small media companies alike leverage our industry best AI offerings to automate several workflows, not only regionalization, but also metadata tagging, content moderation, regionalization, and many more. Now, coming to your question of keeping up with competition or keeping ahead of competition, if all of us here just look back 5 years, no media organization or even leaders in those organizations would have predicted the unprecedented rise that we saw in short form social media apps. But now, those short form media apps command a significant portion of the audience viewing time that can't be ignored. Plus, every media company is forced to factor those platforms in their content creation, distribution, engagement, and monetization plan. Now, so the truth here is that no one can predict with any certainty what the next novel audience experience would be. And believe me, it's going to come sooner than we all could expect. Now, if you recall, I mentioned our mission is to help media customers transform audience experiences. So these new experiences have the potential to take many forms, all of which Google Cloud's capabilities can enable. Now, as media companies shift to more and more digital direct-to-consumer models, revenues, as you rightly pointed out, from advertisement and subscription may be insufficient to drive this necessary growth and profitability that they are seeking. Hence, I think, and you mentioned at the start of the session, 17 monetization models, but there are more. The industry is already looking at different ways to potentially unlock and capture value from audiences, be it convergence of media and commerce, gamification, immersive experiences, NFTs, and so on and so forth. So we are already helping our media partners globally and in India in these transformations. So while we cannot predict the future, we do know that media organizations will need to be agile, flexible, and data-driven to respond to this changing consumer behavior through new technologies, products, services, and monetization models that will enable them to engage the audiences.
As you said, data is God, even though content is king. And we can keep talking about this, especially when it comes to the e-commerce aspect. There are a lot of possibilities already opening up, and we are seeing bite-sized content coming into focus, user-generated content being a big area where, a lot of the platforms are looking to kind of mitigate their production costs. So a lot of points happening, but well, a conversation can't keep continuing forever. There needs to be a limit somewhere. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. It's time to conclude this episode of Money Control Innovation Next, presented by Google Cloud, where we have learned how key players in India's media and entertainment industry have successfully navigated or enabled transformation in digital media. I'd like to thank all of our panelists for joining us on this talk. And of course, thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Till next time, this is Gautam Srinivasan signing off. Have a great day.